The Blokebusters podcast is proud to be a member of the Podbros Network. You can find us, as well as other fantastic podcasts such as Pencil and Ink Review, Another Damn Trivia Show, and The Language of Bromance at podbros.com, as well as on most other fine podcasting services. Now sit back, relax, and prepare to share and enjoy the Blokebusters podcast.
Welcome to episode 82 of the Blokebusters podcast. I'm Brian.
And I'm Paul.
And today we have a very special guest, Miss Janelle Meghan. Hello, Janelle.
Hey guys, thanks for having me.
Absolutely.
No problem. And hopefully it works this time.
This is our second effort here. We had some Skype issues.
Yes, some technical difficulties, unfortunately. So we had to cut it short.
This is round two.
So all signs point to yes right now.
So far, yes.
Yes.
If this episode only ends up being 10 minutes long, you'll figure out why.
Why I got it. Yeah.
So,
Paul, I guess I'm trying to retrace our steps here. I think I asked, how did this happen, or how did this occur? I think was
yes. Well, as time goes on, we get more and more people following our account. I imagine most of them are
much to our dismay.
Yeah, I imagine a lot of them are just kind of, oops, I accidentally followed. I can't be bothered to unfollow. And this lovely lady did just that and sent a message just saying like, "Hey, what are you guys doing?" And so I was like, "Okay, we're a film podcast. Want to come on and talk about stuff?" And the answer, surprisingly, was yes. So
I'm glad you don't have a thorough vetting process.
Yes. Well, to be honest, she is a actress, model, screenwriter. Three things we are not, unfortunately.
Hey, speak for yourself. I don't know. I'm
yes. I know your stint in underwear model.
I'm an amateur at all of this, but yeah.
But yeah, so figured, why not have someone on who is vastly more experienced in those fields than we are.
She's much more on the creation side, where we are just on the appreciation side.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, but the way I got involved in creation is by appreciation, so...
There you go. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think I could technically be called a model because I did have 5 calendars of myself made over the years.
So vain, Paul.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
You should really... are those available? I think you can Google those.
Several of the images from that are available on Facebook if you wanted to find them.
Yes. The only ones I've seen are spoofing the classic movies. Yes. Mm-hmm. Which, you should look into. They are quite fantastic.
That does sound brilliant.
Yeah, it was one of those things where it actually started as a joke because my friends were looking through photos of all of our friends. And they were like, "We've got about 13 pictures of Paul. That's enough for a calendar." So they made a calendar. And myself, the guy that made the calendar, and one of our friends were the only people that bought one. And then it just kind of snowballed from there.
I would... Oh, wow. Are there any available yet? I really want...
I may possibly have one or two somewhere.
I need one, Paul. I don't care if it's an old calendar.
These should be on your website. You should definitely be selling these.
Yeah. Well, I mean, just a little teaser. There's North by Northwest, A Clockwork Orange scene. There's Brokeback Mountain.
Brokeback Mountain one, Titanic, another one.
Yeah,
there are no women featured in these, by the way. It's just American Beauty. That's a great one.
So probably enough talking about ourselves.
Yes.
And
well, myself, really.
Yourself, yes. Yes. I was just trying to.
Yes. You're trying to inject yourself into the situation as usual.
Yes. As the American. Yeah.
All right. So, why don't we get started and just why don't you tell us roughly what it is you do on a day-to-day basis and also how you got into it in the first place.
Well, my main focus is acting and being an actress, and most recently, though, I started to develop my own comedy shorts and do some writing as well and sort of work on other productions. And the way I got involved in it is, acting I've been doing since I was young. I grew up in a fairly small town. There's not a lot to do, so you kind of find your niche, for lack of a better word. And I found theater, and I did a whole bunch of plays, and I just really fell in love with it. And and I've sort of, been back and forth a whole bunch of different careers until I moved to this New York City recently and decided that acting is what I want to do the rest of my life. And I've been doing that, and then as I've been going on auditions, it gets really frustrating because, especially as a female, there's not a lot of really dynamic roles, unfortunately. I mean, it is changing. There's an effort being made to change that, but it was something that was really frustrating to me. So I started to write my own stuff, and I started to get involved in other projects and sort of lend an ear to like how we can make female characters in general just more dynamic. And that's been my main focus right now.
Yeah, well, it's definitely something that the century and a bit long medium that is film, you just had all of the leading men, and it really is only recently that leading women have started popping up. So yes, it is kind of sad that we're still a little thin on the ground with meaty female roles.
Yeah, without like typical or tropey roles, or just one-dimensional characters.
Yeah, actually, one of my favorite films that I haven't watched in a long time stars a fairly cool female lead is Run Lola Run.
Ah, that's fantastic.
It's a fantastic film, and definitely all hangs on the shoulders of the lead actress. So is
that Frankie? I
can't remember off the top of my head.
I'm not going to say the
again. It's been far too
by
long.
the internet, so forget it. But have you? I don't know. It's kind of an assumption people are making. Have you seen La La Land?
Yes, I have.
Because I'm like, podcast over. Bye. I've talked to other people and heard, like, I'm just, a podcast addict, so I listen to tons of them through the week. But I've heard many, many actors and other people say that her audition experience is so authentic as far as like someone just coming in and getting the sandwich orders. And like, have you experienced anything of that sort, or just awful audition stories?
Oh, I feel like I've had worse experiences, like to the point where they're on their phone or they're not. Like sometimes I'll get to an audition and like it won't even be anybody involved in the project. I'll be like an assistant, and then they're not even the person that's making the decision, so you're kind of just wasting your time. My worst audition experience actually is when I went to audition for this. I'm going to leave names out of it, but it was for a commercial.
Okay.
For a major sort of like comedy conglomerate. And when I get there, and they didn't tell me anything prior to audition, which is always sort of a red flag, because actors, they like to be as prepared as possible. I mean, it is a job to us, It's like you should give us some sort of heads up about what we're going to do. And they really, all they told us is we're just going to get there and we're going to improv. And I was like, okay, great, this will be fun. So I get there, and it's a really tiny room. It's a hot day in the summer, and there's just 3 guys sitting there, and there's the ingredients to make a peanut butter sandwich in front of me. And I'm like, oh, okay, so I guess I'm making a peanut butter sandwich and like kind of improvising off of it. Like, that's not a big deal. And they're like, no, we want you to make a peanut butter sandwich, but we want you to make it as sexy as possible.
What?
So somewhere there is the most embarrassing footage of me making a peanut butter sandwich on a hot summer day when like the like knife was like sticking to the jar. It was just awful. It was like there's like some really degrading experiences like that you just go through. And it's like another day,
I'm cringing for you. Oh my God.
That actually sounds remarkably like there was a sketch done by John Cleese and a few of the other Pythons and stuff. There was a thing called How to Irritate People. It was this VHS that went out ages ago. And they had this guy come in for a job interview. And there's this guy performing the interview and 2 people at either side. And he just reaches over, starts ringing a bell, just going, good night. And they're just staring at the guy. And he like gets up and runs at them, and they hold up scorecards. And it's like, oh, great. Did I get the job? And he said, no, all the vacancies have been filled weeks ago. Like, they're just killing time and seeing if they can make people do it. That sounds just like that, to be honest.
Yeah. I did a play called The Sketch of New York, and one of the sketches is at they have all these actors audition, and the casting director is just awful to all of them and just like gives them the most ridiculous like adjustments and kind of puts them through hell. And at the end of it, this one actor comes up and big brilliant performance, and the casting director's like applauds them, and they're like, "Oh, did I get the part?" And he's like, "No, I'm casting my niece." Like, it's half the time that's very true in the industry. It's like it's like sometimes the auditions are just a formality, and like you put your heart and soul into like reading for this project, or you hire a private acting coach, and you go through all these different processes emotionally too as an actor, and half the time it's just for nothing.
Yeah, I mean, not just the emotional investment, but like time and money, like gas there if you're driving, just your day shot, like
absolutely. I mean, headshots too.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I can't. At this point in my life, I don't think I'd ever be able to jump into it now. Like, would that be something I wanted to go down? Which is not.
People aren't knocking down your door.
Yeah. What I know that it is an all or nothing type thing. You've really got to be 100% invested in it, or you're probably not going to get anywhere. So, yeah, unfortunately, with a mortgage and a baby and that stuff, it's not the ideal time.
Well, maybe the baby.
Maybe, yes.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, if we start
get some
now,
commercials there.
She might get it.
Yeah. Maybe you can be a dance mom. No.
No.
No. Okay. Correct answer.
Future in show business, you never know.
Yeah, very true. Maybe one day down the line she'll do that, but at 4.5 months old, not yet. So.
Okay.
You gotta start them early.
Exactly. I'm with Janelle here.
I'll probably wait until she's crawling before I start pushing dance moves on.
Okay. You start working out those dance muscles now on your own. Just count her out. 1, 2, 3. Yeah. Come on.
Yeah. She just lies on the back like, what
are you doing? Yeah. And as Jamie
Well, you kind of already answered the question that I wanted to ask. I always find it more interesting. You hear in interviews and stuff all the time, like, oh, what was your best day on set and all that? And it's always like, oh, it was a great day. Everyone, I prefer the flip side of that, where what has been, obviously we know your worst casting experience, but what's been your worst experience, like your worst day, shall we say, in your professional career? Like, was there a day where just nothing worked?
Yeah, it could be physically, emotionally, crawling through the snow like Leo, whatever. Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's hard for me because I hate auditioning, and I have a lot of really bad auditioning experiences. But once I get the part, I'm all in. Like, no matter what the circumstances, like no matter how chaotic it is, because usually, I work on a lot of indie projects. They're generally pretty chaotic. Yeah. And you sort of got to go with the flow. But my worst, I guess, weather experience is I did a music video. And I was playing like a sort of like, kind of like video vixen type character. And for whatever reason, the director really just wanted the scene in like the snow. And that day just happened to be a blizzard. So I'm in like thigh-high boots, fishnets, and a short dress, and it's a blizzard outside. And I'm literally, the shot looks really cool, but all I'm doing is just walking through the snow, and it was just take after take of them, like they had the camera on the back of the truck and they were following me, of just like walking through the snow. And by the end of it, I was like, yeah, I'm definitely gonna get a cold after this.
Yeah,
that was a long day.
I could imagine after the first couple of sets, it's just trudging through.
Yeah, I mean, it was worth it because the shot came out really cool, so like I'm fine with it. And I feel like part of me sort of just like, I don't know, like when I'm on camera or when I'm acting, it's like it just shuts down. Like my temperature gauge, like it doesn't exist. So.
Well, that's good then, I suppose, that you're able to shut out all the outside stimuli, especially in trying situations.
Yeah, I'd be a big baby. I'd be like, you guys know how cold it is. You do it. You get the fishnets on, assholes.
That's what I should have done, right?
Yeah, just be like, can you just shoot me from the neck up and I'll just be fully, I'll just be in a sleeping bag hopping along.
Yeah, or can we just do this in post? Like,
Yeah, you can do anything digitally now.
Yeah, there must be a green screen somewhere. We can just this way.
yeah, we have the budget for that, right?
Of course, all indie projects can do that. Mhm.
Well, what? Not necessarily best day, but what's been a project that you've been most excited to do, or you had like the most fun overall?
I really enjoyed my experience on Into the Outbreak. It's a romance story set during the apocalypse,
Of
and
course.
Yes.
Like
yeah,
Shaun of the Dead.
yeah, and it's a trilogy actually. So I got to be a part of this like huge family that the director Larry Rosen has already created for the Outbreak series,
Cool.
and my character Mandy was this really just interesting dynamic character where you were following her journey of being like this spoiled brat, because what she goes through in the film is she has a one-night stand and she wakes up with this guy and the apocalypse outside. So they're stuck. They're stuck in their home and they're stuck with each other. So you kind of watch them fall in love. And I've never really had that experience on camera of this full journey of this character going from, you see her as a total bitch. Like she's really mean to this guy. and then you sort of fall in love with her toward the end. And that was just a really fun experience. And plus getting to add that extra like dynamic of the world is ending essentially, and kind of what that would be like, because I'm a huge science fiction fan. So throwing that element in, it was just a really fun project to work on. And Larry, he was such a blast to work with too. And everyone on that team was so much fun. So it was great.
Cool.
Which one was that in the series? You said it's a trilogy?
Yes. This is the third one. So this is the last one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I know.
For more. I was just looking at the IMDb page, and I love the tagline. Actually, do you remember the tagline? Do you know the tagline?
I don't think I remember off the top of my head.
Okay, no, that's fine. Love doesn't take a pause for the outbreak.
Oh, yeah.
That's great.
Yeah, definitely had to look into that one. Is that on VOD or anything at the moment, or is that coming soon? Do you know?
It just had its premiere at a film festival in New Jersey. So I believe it's doing the film festival circuit, and then we'll be getting distribution.
Okay.
Sometime soon.
Yeah, we'll definitely need to put something out about that when that pops
That
out.
is so in my wheelhouse. Like, I love those types of movies, and yeah, it seems like I'll really enjoy that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
Well, you said you've been sort of dabbling in the screenwriting side of stuff. Like, what sort of stuff do you like writing?
I'm a huge science fiction fan, so I really gravitate towards sort of just the relationship between humans and technology, and kind of how it can fuck us up.
Yeah.
Sorry, can I swear on here?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay, great.
Mm-hmm.
And that, I mean, like, Black Mirror is kind of the main example of where my writing lies. It's just like, how bad, if things got really dynamic and interesting with this technology, how could it completely screw up human society? Like, I love stuff like that.
That is fascinating. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what it is, but dystopian futures are always way better than utopian. Whenever you're looking into
I agree.
world
At least for
building.
entertainment, yeah. And we did a two-parter Black Mirror, episode with a friend of ours, and oh my gosh, when series 4 I guess would come out, oh my gosh, if you would be into talking about it, that maybe we'll get the whole gang together.
Yeah, no, that sounds
we
awesome.
love that show. But yeah,
now,
anything.
just a little bit of housekeeping here. Brian,
Yes, sir.
have you seen the last episode in the recent series yet?
Yes, I have. Okay, back off.
There we go. Listeners will be very happy to hear.
I had not seen the very last episode. Was it Hated in the Nation?
Yes, it was.
Okay.
Oh.
We had to kind of skirt around some things as we were talking
and I
about
was
that.
reprimanded by my co-host and our guest severely in recording. But yes, that has since been taken care of and rectified. Yeah. All right.
So,
That's good.
so have you had anything picked up, or I mean, if you can't talk about it, that's fine. But any luck so far on that side of things?
Yeah, I mean, I have some things in the works for sure. I can't really talk about anything quite yet, but
That's
I'm
fine.
hoping to start shooting something in the summer for sure.
All right, cool.
I'm kind of interested to hear a little more about these comedy shorts. What's going on with those, and can we find those anywhere?
Yeah, so right now they are in post. The first one that I did was is based off of a really bad date that I had experienced. And I decided, the best way to deal with this frustration of just dating and just, men frustrating me in general was to turn it into art and turn it into comedy. Plus, it's a great, like, fuck you to the guy, right?
Absolutely.
So that was the first thing that was sort of just a comedy short about this bad date that I had experienced, but the sort of ongoing thing is how long I stayed on the date, because it's kind of laughable.
No, wait. I'm hoping now, if you've heard of this story, I'm hoping you're not the woman in this story. But did you read about this female observer live tweeting this date from hell? Did you hear anything about that?
I don't think so. No,
I don't remember all the details, but it is amazing if you could look into it. But I mean, she's just live tweeting this first date from hell with this enormous douchebag, and like he at one point slaps chopsticks out of her hand and says, "You don't eat sushi with chopsticks," and just the typical worst things the guy could do, just only talking about himself. Wow. And just reprimanding her at every chance on her behavior. That it is, yeah. So I
awful.
sympathize with you ladies. Yeah.
I feel kind of happy that I never really ventured into the dating game myself. I kind of got incredibly lucky.
It's rough out there, Paul. Let me tell you. Yeah.
Yeah, I ended up marrying my first ever girlfriend.
There you go, man. That's well done. Because, yeah, I don't have it as rough as the ladies do. I would freely admit that, but yeah.
I mean, hey, I get great stories out of it. It's great content.
There you go. Yeah,
that's the thing. As someone trying to get out there to write it and stuff, terrible experiences often makes the best entertainment. So because, Schadenfreude. Why not?
Yeah, get something out
exactly.
of it, right?
Exactly. I take it all as inspiration.
Speaking of inspiration, actually, I was kind of wondering, because like looking on your website and about you and things like that, you seem to kind of be all over the place with all sorts of interest and stuff. So what would you say kind of inspires you the most as you get out there and do things? So what do you really draw your inspiration from?
I mean, it's probably a very general answer, but just people in general. I meet I live in New York City, and I feel like I meet such interesting people with unique stories every single day, and it's always inspiring to hear what someone has experienced or felt, and I try to bring that through in my acting and my writing and everything that I do.
Cool. Yeah, and I do not live anywhere like New York City, so I live in kind of the outskirts, and growing up in England, I lived in a very small town, so I didn't have anything like the hustle and bustle of a place like New York, so...
You were quite a ways from London, too. Like, it's not like you could just go there on the weekend or something. For people that have trouble with geography.
Well, I mean, it takes about an hour on the train.
Yeah. So I guess you could go, yeah.
Yeah, it's easy enough to get there. It's just, it's one of those weird things that a lot of people outside of England don't get. It's like, yeah, I could go to London anytime I want, but I don't want to go to London.
Just because it's there doesn't mean your personality means that you want to go there.
Exactly. There have been times where maybe there was a play or something that we wanted to see, or there was something that started shortly before I came over here, where there was a monthly musical comedy night at this one pub up in London that was a lot of fun to go to. But
but you have no desire to be in Piccadilly surrounded by 4,000 people, like the Times Square equivalent. Essentially.
Not really. The only reason to go there, other than just to do the typical touristy thing, is all of the shops that you can think of, their big shop is somewhere in London. So you'll end up going there. There's a toy store called Hamley's that is literally 5 stories. And then there's also a basement with an arcade in it if you really want to go there. So that's like the big toy store in England. And anyone that hasn't been to London doesn't know it's there. So
I wish I'd known about it.
Yes,
wow.
Stupid Herods, but and thus has ended our London commercial. Have we?
Yes.
Our London or English tourism contract. Have we fulfilled it?
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, I'm going.
I would highly recommend it, but yeah.
There we go, yeah. Me saying I didn't want to go to London every weekend. Apparently, that's not selling you on London.
Well, let's steer the rail back on track here. What is it? Yeah. Why am I blanking on the London Underground? But yeah.
The Tube.
Thank you. Oh God, the Tube is such a hard word to come up with. Yes. Yeah. Let's get the Tube back on track. I'm really interested to hear more about your sci-fi interests, for lack of repeating. Where did that start, or kind of what are kind of some of the staples there for you?
I mean, I was honestly a huge nerd as a kid. I didn't have a lot of friends. I would take these like stacks and stacks of books out of the libraries. So I would just read a lot, and I'd also watch The Twilight Zone. And I never really, I don't think I ever really knew what sci-fi was as like a genre until I started watching Doctor Who. And that was sort of my first, like...
Paul just lit up.
What?
Paul just lit up with glee. But continue, I'm sorry.
Well, no. We had to pause here. Who's your favourite Doctor?
Probably Matt Smith.
Fair enough. I know a lot of people really like Matt Smith.
I know.
I am a big Tennant fan myself, but I do think that Christopher Eccleston doesn't get anywhere near as much praise for his work, because he had the very sad job of having to be the first Doctor back after I don't remember how long that series was gone, and he was only around for 1 season, but he still did really well.
Right. I mean, Rose is my favorite companion, so it's tough.
Yeah, she definitely had the best arc, and Brian is sitting over here just kind of rolling his eyes because he doesn't watch Doctor Who.
It's great nerd shame I carry with me at all times of the day that so I have never gotten wrapped into. It just seems like such a daunting task at this point. Like
it is, and I would say if you did start up, I would just start at the revival rather than
the 60s
or
whatever. Yeah, but I know Paul and I have gone over. Like I watched. I think it was Rose was the companion of the episodes I've seen. Was she the blonde?
I'm sorry. Okay. Billy Piper.
Yes,
okay, I'm sorry for my ignorance here. Nerds, please don't yell at me.
No, if you haven't seen it, I wouldn't.
I sent a text to a friend where I did DR period who and was talking about it. She's like, just so you know, never say that to a Doctor a Doctor Who fan. It is DOCTOR.
Oh, yeah, that's a major faux pas.
Yeah, I'm like, thank you, because she was understanding, but
because the big and of course the worst thing, even worse than that, is when people call the Doctor Who is like, no.
Oh, no. Yeah.
You don't do that.
Now I just cringed.
Oh, wow. This is like, I'm learning so much here.
I mean, the joke is that, he says he's the Doctor, and a fair number of characters throughout the series do say,
who?
Doctor Who. Because obviously, most Doctors, it's, I'm Doctor blah, 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 but no, he is the Doctor. And I think that was something that Tennant did fantastically. It's every single time someone says Doctor Who, it's like, no, just the Doctor. That's all it is.
That's so true.
So Doctor Who. What else? What were your other inspirations I might be familiar with?
Doctor Who was definitely sort of what started me down this rabbit hole of just like space in general.
Okay.
So then, and then I got very much into Star Wars, and my favorite sci-fi movie ever is Gattaca. Have you seen that?
Yes.
Yes, there is I have seen it once when I was 17, and I keep meaning to watch it again because I remember really enjoying that one.
I also have only seen it once, but I remember really liking it, and feel like it's somewhat underrated. Like, I don't
It
feel like
really
it gets
is.
enough love. Yeah.
It really is.
Yeah.
And then of course the Matrix is obviously one of my favorite movies too. I'm sure everyone
just
brings
the
that
first
up.
one, right?
Yeah, just the first one.
Okay.
Right now, come on.
Although
I think the second and third one are not too bad. I mean, they're nowhere near the level of one, but they're not as horrible as people make out. I think they were just so disappointed.
And what were you about to say there, Janelle? What were your feelings on it?
Well, I was listening to a podcast recently, actually, and they brought up the Matrix, and they brought up this really interesting like fan theory. So I've been like I've been going back to like fan theories for the Matrix and like researching them, and they're like some really mind blowing stuff out there. Like it's still sort of a mystery of a lot of who was sort of evil in that situation, and it's a really interesting dynamic.
Can we go into the fan theory at all? I'm very interested.
Yeah, now I know what it is.
I love fan theories. They make films so much more enjoyable after the fact.
I kind of have one that I think the Oracle is in fact the person who's running everything, and the other program, like the architect believes he's running everything, but the Oracle is actually the one that's in charge because she's the one that basically just saunters through everything, and even towards the end, it's just like, yeah, fine, go ahead, because she knows she's coming back. So, what was the one that, what's your favorite fan theory then about the Matrix?
I mean, the one that I just most recently sort of been diving into is, like I said, I've sort of been fascinated with the idea of humans kind of fucking themselves and just like screwing over the world. And the whole thing with the Matrix is, if you can kind of look at it as the humans being the real villains, because I mean, true, like they did create this world, and they were essentially slaves. Humans were, but at the same time, like they easily could have created like a really messed up like alternate world for us to live in. Like they gave us a pretty nice world, and I don't think they get enough credit for that. I don't think the AIs get enough credit.
No, plug me into keep me in the Matrix any day of the week. Why would I want to help on a dark, stinky ship when I can be eating steak in a fancy restaurant all day?
Yes, as Sci-Fi, is it Sci-Fi? Like basically comes to agree with...
Yeah, I totally side with him. Yeah. Stay there, man. Ignorance is bliss.
Exactly.
Yeah, I don't know if you've seen, Brian, the Animatrix. Have you looked at it?
I have not. Yeah.
There is a 2-part bit in the Animatrix where it is the story of humanity creating the first robots to the robot taking over, and as you watch the story, it's kind of very telling. Like they start making robots start getting everywhere. There is the first ever murder of a human by a robot, but the robot is simply following through the routines that it has been programmed with, and then it goes to court. Like, did this robot commit murder? Did it not? And then as that's happening, the artificial intelligence field is starting to grow. So it's it all comes to a giant head at the end with the robots rising up, and it's so well done. And I think everyone that enjoys the Matrix should go and watch the Animatrix stuff, because it's a lot of fun, and it does fill in a few holes that you might have once after you finish watching the Matrix. And you're like, so how did that really happen?
No, I'll definitely check that out. That sounds awesome.
Yeah. I believe it was 9 short films that they made, and 2 of them are part 1 and part 2 of that story.
I mean, we're kind of hinting around to one of my favorite sci-fi genres, and that is the singularity.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I mean, iRobot, not the greatest, but I
mishandled, I think.
What's that? Mishandled it, but I mean, Ex Machina, I think is. I love that movie so much. I don't know how
it is a very good film.
Yeah. I mean, for what they were able to do on that budget, I mean, not quite an indie film by, conventional terms, but still a pretty tight budget for what they were able to accomplish. And,
Yeah.
I don't know. I just love all.
Definitely a film my wife will not watch because she has a bit of a phobia of robots. And
Justifiably, yeah.
I
would really recommend her not watching that then.
Yeah, specifically robots that are like close to human. Like
so Westworld, she is not watching.
She has not watched Westworld, and like without even going into the robots, just the premise of that she wasn't really a fan of. So that's why she didn't watch that. But yeah, I do enjoy that side of things when it comes to science fiction, and also maybe also futures that are technically going the way it should be, but still isn't great. For instance, The Fifth Element. Like, I think it's a fantastic thing where you've got all of that. You've got flying cars, as Dante and Randall go into in a little short. You've got interstellar trips.
You got Chris
and yet
Tucker.
You still have all of the bad elements that are still running around. And it's such a cool thing to think. Humanity never changes, much like the Fallout in war never changes. No, humanity never changes, and it's probably going to stay the same until the bombs fall and no more humanity.
Well, yeah. So yeah, is that one of your subgenre interests there, or?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot of TV shows and movies that do that really, really well. And I do agree that anything that plays with that idea of this universe that very much feels like our own is a little bit more fascinating to me, because it's like the not so distant future is probably, it's a little bit creepier, and it gives me a little bit more of like that connection that I like in sci-fi. I like to see a reflection of human society. And sometimes when it gets a little out there, it's a little out there.
Yeah, definitely. Well, okay then. So if you had to say to someone who hadn't really got into the genre before, here are 2 or 3 films that you have to see, which ones would you highlight?
Oh, that's so hard, because it would to me,
I understand, yeah.
Suggesting movies to somebody is like suggesting like music to somebody. Like you have to know.
You kind of have to get to know them first, right? Yeah.
Yeah, you have to like figure out what they're into, and then suggest something. I mean.
Yeah, I mean, well, if you don't know much about a person, you have to kind of go for a wide net within the genre. Then, so is there any? I mean, one thing I would go with is actually Equilibrium. I would pick for one, because it's sort of sci-fi, sort of noir. So you've got 2 there. I would also pick The Fifth Element that I mentioned before, just because most people like Bruce Willis, so they'll enjoy. And is it Chris Tucker?
Chris Tucker, the aforementioned, yeah,
doing Ruby Rod there, one of the best characters ever in cinematic history. And the other one, I would probably say Terminator, actually. This is,
wow,
sadly the horror side. I mean, Ex Machina definitely, if you know someone likes sci-fi, that's when you suggest that one. But maybe a bit too in depth.
And I would throw Blade Runner in there. Yeah, the original.
I could see that.
Yeah, the original theatrical release. I mean, it doesn't matter. Watch whatever version. There's 28 versions. Watch whatever one you want, but they're all
That's
great.
very true.
Yeah, that one. And T2 I would go with over T1. But
I mean, the reason I say the first one is because it is a sequel. So there is a certain amount of world
T2 is even
building.
better, man. You get the semi chase, and come on.
I will freely admit that the second is better than the first. However, without the first, you don't get half the impact for the second.
True. Yes, I'm usually a big proponent of original films, and I don't like sequels as much. But yeah.
So, well, I guess. Do you have any suggestions on top of that list that we just gave there? Or...
I mean, I think Gattaca is a really good introduction, depending on the person. If you can't really, because a lot of people that I think that aren't into sci-fi, it has to be grounded in something that's very real, and I think Gattaca does that really well. And I mean, I also really loved Inception too. I think that does it really well too.
Yeah.
Just like keeping it very grounded in reality. And then I think Alien is absolutely a classic.
Oh, yes. Applauding you for that choice there. Are you pumped about the new one?
Yeah. I mean,
you got high hopes, or you think it'll be okay?
I'm always skeptical.
Yeah, we've learned that well to be skeptical. Yeah,
well, especially Prometheus, for instance.
Prometheus kind of took it. Oh, I don't know. There are people that like it. We might be talking to one ball.
I know.
I don't know.
I would just argue there are bits and pieces in that film that were very good, and the rest just kind of meh.
Visually stunning, no one can deny, but story-wise...
Of course.
And, I believe it was the captain who doesn't fully understand that if you run parallel to a falling object, you're more likely to get
It was
away.
the Rickon issue, for any Game of Thrones fans. If you zig, you can dodge. But... yeah, I'm really looking forward to, what is it, Covenant? Is that the subtitle?
It is, yes.
Yeah, I think that's,
Yeah, I remember that because of my Halo playing days, but, yeah.
Are there any old school sci-fi films or even TV shows? You mentioned Twilight Zone and Doctor Who, but are there any other, really old shows that you've come across later in life and just been, wow, so that's where a lot of the things I like have come from?
Not so much at the top of my head. I mean, the Twilight Zone would probably be the first thing that popped in, where I'm kind of rewatching now since it's on Netflix, and there's a lot of influences that come from that show. That's really, really fascinating. That would be the only thing that I can think
really
of right now.
Stand the test of time. I mean, I know
Absolutely.
People are kind of hesitant, on black and white stuff, or just things that have a certain age to them. Yeah. But if you're a sci-fi nerd, if you're just into good TV, you're gonna like it. It's captivating. It's interesting.
The only sad thing is the very first episode is about a man who, for those of you that don't know, it's about a man who is alone. There's signs of life everywhere, but there is no one. So he spends the entire episode trying to find just another human. And I'm going to be spoiling it now. It turns out that he is in this solitary confinement box because he's testing how long a human can go by themselves, because he's going to be going to the moon and he'll be by himself. And they get him out and he's like, okay, that's fine. And the original draft for that episode, there's a point where he goes and sees a film, and of course he's like, down in front and all of that sort of stuff. And then at the end, when he's being pulled away on the stretcher back in reality, the ticket that he had in the cinema falls to the ground. And that was the original ending for that episode. And Rod Serling rewrote it because he wanted to make sure the series would get made. And I kind of wish they could have filmed both sides of that so you could get the original intent for it. But I mean, the fact that he was willing to say, okay, I'm going to change this, and then you get the Twilight Zone. I'm all right with it. I just wish we could see the other take, as it were.
It makes you wonder how many other things kind of got quote unquote ruined because of they not wanting to take a risk and possibly not get made. It's kind of sad.
Yeah, I mean there are some episodes I'm sure some of the people involved wish now hadn't been made. For instance, the one with George Takei. I don't know if you know about that episode. He is a Japanese soldier, a previous Japanese soldier who is up in an attic helping to clean out a house of someone who is just a massive racist. And it ends with the guy, if I'm remembering correctly, the guy ends up taking an old cyanide pill. And then George Takei's character picks up a sword, yells the word "Banzai" and jumps out the window.
Okay.
It's very much a sign of the times.
You said this one was not released?
No, it was released.
Oh, okay.
It aired. I'm just saying that watching it now.
Oh, okay.
It's a very
little on the nose.
Yes. As you're watching it, you do need to think when it was made, but even then, most of the episodes are just so well done. So I can appreciate the love of that because I have such a huge love of that
And I
show
think-
myself.
Are they still on Netflix or not?
I believe they are. At the very least, they're on Amazon Prime.
Yeah.
So
So yeah, you people have no excuse. Go. You have a way to watch them, and you can run through 10 easily a day.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
And I kind of think there must be some people that watch Futurama and have no idea what it is they're referring to when they do the scary door.
Oh yeah, so many references.
Oh.
Yeah, references over their head. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, Futurama's great.
Oh my god. So
One of those.
better.
One of my favorite the scary doors is when he wakes up and he's like, "Oh, seeing when I'm winning, this must be heaven. Oh, a casino I always win. This must be hell. Wrong. You're on an airplane. There's something on the wing of the plane. You gotta believe me. Why should I believe you? You're Hitler." He turns to Eva Braun. He says, "Eva Braun, help me!" And she pulls off her face, and it's a giant fly head. It's like, so many episodes.
Oh no, I really want to do a Futurama episode, Paul. Although that would have to be like a
that's
3
great.
or 4-parter because
It
yeah.
would, and I'm actually in the middle of rewatching the entire series. So
Are
I'm
you
on
really?
board for
Okay.
that.
Are you gonna go?
Oh,
Are
that's
you gonna
great.
finish off with the 4 films?
I'm already past that. I'm into season 5 technically.
Oh,
Season
okay,
6
yeah,
or
because it
5,
came
yeah.
back after. Yeah, after the films. Oh my gosh, I had a friend that sadly has passed away since then, but I always would argue that The Simpsons was better, and this was before I became, really had watched Futurama too much, and
Yeah.
it's like no, like more interesting characters, like it's nerdier, it's more sciencey and stuff, and it's like you really need to embrace it, and I never got to admit that he is right, but Adam, you were correct. I love some Simpsons, but yeah, as far as graining shows go,
Yeah.
Futurama is king.
Yeah, I agree.
I mean, obviously, sci-fi, so it's always going to be on top for us.
Interesting stuff.
Yes. Yes, and I'm genuinely not sure how to bring this back now.
This is the point of these kind of episodes, though. Is we
Yeah.
just go off on tangents and have a good conversation.
Yeah, it's
so,
too
yeah.
far down the rabbit hole to
Mhm.
have a great segue back.
What would you like to talk about, Janelle?
You laugh. I was actually considering just saying.
Oh.
Is there anything coming up with you or anything that we didn't cover that you would like us to talk about a little bit? Is there anything that falls into that realm that you want to mention now?
Well, right now I'm shooting for the series it's on YouTube, Wink. I'm going to be shooting for a short scene next week, and it's really funny. I think the entire first season is up on YouTube, so go check it out, and then check out season 2. I believe that'll be coming out in the summer, and you'll be able to see me in that. And then that's really about it. I want to plug what I've been watching recently, which is the OA. Which
Oh my
fantastic.
I was just talking about the OA to Paul before we started recording, or before we, when we were just hanging out. waiting on
Very, very
time to
quickly.
pass.
Have not had the chance to press play on that yet, so don't go too far.
No, we won't. We won't.
Okay,
yeah.
okay.
How far are you, Janelle?
I finished.
Oh, you finished. Oh my god.
It's,
So I
it's
cannot-
beautifully shot. It's
Isn't it?
beautifully acted. It's
And
just-
Britt
it's just
Sterling is so amazing. Or wait, I'm sorry, Britt. What is her
Marling.
last name? Marling. I'm sorry, Sterling.
Yeah.
Confused me with the Twilight Zone.
I was
Was
like,
still
still
rattling
Twilight,
around
okay.
up there.
Yeah.
I kind of combined the two, but and then like Jason Isaacs, I described to one friend as an evil John Hamm. He just kind of gives this evil John Hamm vibe, and
Well, fair
Oh
enough.
yeah.
But
he's-
without saying
he's
too much.
so creepy. Yeah.
he's so good as Hap. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's fascinating from my standpoint because she's acting in it. I think she co-wrote it
She
and she's
co-wrote it
producing
and
it.
co-created it, right? Yeah.
Yeah. And
She-
to me, that's insane. So I have all the respect in the world for her because
Mhm.
I've done it with like comedy shorts, and it's been a hectic experience. So I can't imagine on the scale that she's doing it for like such a fantasy sci-fi related show. It's
Yeah,
just
and to be so
awesome.
well written and so good. Yeah, like that's
Yeah.
one of the great lessons of like all the a lot of the entertainment podcasts I listen to is that if you aren't getting those parts, if you're not finding those things, you can't expect those people to approach you for something that we live in a time where you can create your own content and hopefully it finds an audience. and
Yeah.
Or at least you can be proud of something that you did, though.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the times if you talk to a casting director and you're not creating your own work, they're kind of looking at you like, what are you doing?
Really? Yeah.
So it's like it's almost
that
an
far
actor's
now.
job now to step up to the plate and create things because it's so easy. Well, not easy, but like it's easier than it's ever been.
It's available, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
That's a much better word for it.
Yeah, at the very least, you can just for you trying to do screenwriting stuff like that. You can perform your own stuff. You can do it cheap and put it on YouTube, and you're putting out the screenwriting side of it, not necessarily the production side. You can say, well, yeah, it may not look great, but I wrote all that. If it made you laugh, then there you go.
Exactly.
It really is a great time. I feel a great time to be alive if you're going at all creative, because there's so many avenues now. And then on the flip side, because there are so many avenues, because there are so many people.
It's tough to find, yeah.
It can be tough to really get into it. So yes, I do hope that
you got to find your little nerd niche that's really into the thing you're doing.
Yeah.
And but they're out there. There's a million types of nerd, and there's all sorts of Venn diagrams where we all overlap. So there's something for everybody.
Yeah. So and the only reason I'm not part of, say, the D&D nerddom is because I've never had any friends that play it.
And I am short on patience, so that was my excuse.
Oh, there you go. Yeah. So well, I can't imagine how much more popular it is now that Stranger Things has come out.
I wonder. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Were you ever a D&Der?
No, I didn't have a lot of friends. So not that I didn't have friends that played it, I just didn't have a lot of friends.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah, and I kind of want to, at some point, and this is going to sound incredibly stupid, I'm sure, but kind of get a whole bunch of people that have never played D&D before, and it doesn't matter where they are, just get like Skype going, and just have a group Skype D&D type thing, because I would love to do it. I just don't have the time to get all the stuff, pack it up, go to someone's house, find someone nearby that can do it, and all that. I just want to maybe take a couple of hours a week, get on Skype and just have a fun time doing it. But as far as I know, that doesn't exist yet. So
no, yeah, and from what I hear, you need a good.
You need a good dungeon master.
Yes, exactly.
That's the word for it. Yeah.
I didn't want to screw that up and get more nerdy.
Yeah, I was like quest wizard.
I'm like, I didn't want to say some sort of KKK title, accidentally.
Yeah, that would be Grand Wizard.
Thank you.
But yes, how the hell do I know?
Paul, what do you do in your free time? All right,
I look up random wizard / dungeon.
Exactly. Sometimes you Google wizard and you get weird things.
Yes,
yeah. I did date someone very briefly that was super into D&D, and her campaign had just ended, and I was excited to try to get it because you just do everything that person's interested in those initial periods, and never got around to starting a campaign. So I almost got into D&D briefly, but never did.
Yeah, well, that's like I said, it is something that I wish that I could have done, but maybe when my daughter grows up, she can get into D&D, and I'll just I'll just kind of be in the background.
I hope that person is okay. The ambulance is hitting.
Oh yeah, sorry. Sounds of the city.
No, that's fine. Exactly, soundscapes.
I was going to figure out a way of editing around that, but
now I just commented on it, and sorry, Paul, I ruined it. All right. Well, you can just cut this whole bit out.
Yeah, that's fine. All right, well, I genuinely can't think of anything else.
Are we okay on time? Or are we good on time?
Yes,
okay. I mean, I can talk about sci-fi forever and ever, so...
Yeah, same here.
Yeah,
so we might have to have you back to just do that.
I was gonna say, like, if we wanted to keep going about sci-fi, we could be here another couple of hours, but that is not the point of this specific episode.
No,
so.
But I'm definitely into just having you back so we can nerd out over sci-fi.
Oh yeah.
No, that sounds great to me.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we'll have to work that out some other time.
All right, so let's get to plugging ourselves and plugging.
Yeah. Well, so. First and foremost, where can people get a hold of you if they wish to get a hold of you?
You can visit me at my website, janelleengel.com, and all my social media will be listed there. And you can also follow me on Twitter at twitter.com/Janelle Meghan.
Alrighty.
And is that M-E-A... How's Megan spelled?
Meghan.
Okay.
Alright, there we go. And
I just know there's a couple different spellings.
That's
people
always
find you.
that is always the thing, especially now when everyone's got a name that's spelled slightly different but pronounced a way that doesn't seem to make sense to you. And you're like, how do you spell that every single time? And so on top of that, obviously, you know how to get a hold of us, but very quickly, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, just search Blokebusters, and you can email us blokebusterpodcast@gmail.com. Yes, I still have not changed that, and I'm not going to.
And Google some sexy calendar pics of Paul.
Yes, I mean, I did do a 300 one, so that is out there.
Oh, it's very, very sexy.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you, Janelle. This was so much fun.
This is a blast. Thank you so much.
And we will definitely have you back.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we'll be back again at some point soon. So I've been Paul.
I've been Brian.
And that's been Janelle. See you guys.
Bye.